Hello everyone, this is Darcinovia here. I am back with another review, and to end it off, I'm going to end it with the Sith War, which is the second to last arc of Tales of the Jedi. Now, in this story arc, well, it depicts, the war between Exar Kun and the Republic. Now, for many years prior to me reading this, I was always intrigued by Exar Kun because of the Knights of the Old Republic video game. But as a noob myself, unfortunately, for a good chunk, you know, of my fandom, I wasn't aware of the Tales of the Jedi comics. I wasn't aware that there was a lot of references. And to me, reading about stuff that has been referenced into one of my favorite video games of all time was awesome. Honestly, reading about the war with Exar Kun and the Republic, that was great. And this is possibly one of my favorite Star Wars comics, honestly. I mean, I know a lot of people have their favorites. They have, because, mine is Battle of Jabim. That's one of my favorite comics. But what makes this one amazing to me is it's a payoff to multiple, comics worth of build-up, character development. And I really love this. In my opinion, this could have easily been the end for, this series, considering just how amazing this story arc was. You know, though there is another arc after this, which you could look at it as an epilogue to the Tales of the Jedi series. Though I do think it could have easily ended here. I really do love the art in this comic. I know I praise the art. I know the art is not everyone's cup of tea, but the thing is, I really appreciate art like this because a lot of comics in the 90s, if you look at a lot of the artwork, a lot of it is just like, oh, it's just being edgy just for the sake of being edgy. I'm just showcasing some really good panels, at least my favorites. Exar Kun, despite, you know, being an antagonist pretty much, only two story arcs, has become one of my favorite Star Wars villains. I think he's interesting. I do like him as a character. And it's going to add more context when I reread the Jedi Academy trilogy. Because if you read the Jedi Academy trilogy and never read Tales of the Jedi, even though the Jedi Academy trilogy was published first, you're not going to get as much context, and Exar Kun will just be one of those random villains that appears, in various, Bantam era Star Wars stories. I feel like this comic enhances the Jedi Academy trilogy, considering that Exar Kun is the main antagonist of that trilogy. And the thing I really love about, Exar Kun, you know, it's so interesting. Of course, I could explain it in my last review, which I didn't really, but he's a Jedi that had a lot of promise, and he ends up falling to the dark side because his hunger for knowledge. And it's kind of interesting how similar him and Revan's stories are when it comes to them falling to the dark side. It's just Exar Kun, the entire war has such a huge impact on the galaxy, even decades after Exar Kun is, his body physically perished. He's an interesting character and one of the most important characters in the Star Wars expanded universe. And I know a lot of Darth Vader fanboys are going to disagree with me on this one. I think Exar Kun is more powerful than Darth Vader, in my opinion. I really think he is, but this is just my personal opinion. Now, the story itself, I think is really good. I recommend reading this, though. Obviously, I recommend you read the other stuff first. I think this is probably one of my favorite Star Wars comics. And I'm looking forward to reading the conclusion to this series. I'm not going to spoil what happens, but let's just say you feel you kind of feel bad for um, Ukkodroma because of what happens. I'm not going to say why, but it leads to another story, which you can view it as the epilogue of Tales of the Jedi. I thought this was a good comic, and the thing I really love about Tales of the Jedi, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I feel like these comics, with every single arc, gets better and better and better. And that's the thing I love about the Tales of the Jedi comics. They get better with every comic. Art, story, and I feel like that's how, comics should go. The comics should get progressively better. And in my opinion, I think the comic peaked here. Looking forward to reading Redemption, which is the next one in the series. I give this a classic rating. It's one of the best expanded universe stories. And next time, in the new year, I'm going to be reviewing Redemption, which you can view it as the epilogue of Tales of the Jedi. Peace!